All right, Jessica, thank you for that. Now, last week, the $1.9 trillion stimulus package, the American Rescue Plan, as it was called, passed with not one Republican vote, not one. And more spending on the way, as much as $4 trillion on infrastructure, forgiving student loans, and a lot more. Senator Ben Cardin of Maryland was caught on a hot mic yesterday speaking to Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg about how the Democrats plan to ram through trillions more in spending. Tudor, it's a lot of money.
It is. Let's introduce our panel and see what they have to say. Today we have Democrat strategist Kelly Hyman, Trump 2020 Advisory Board member Jason Meister, and former Democrat state congressman and Black Voices for Trump Coalition member Vernon Jones. Before I get to you both, or you three, I want to play the senator's comments for you, and then I'll get your response. Here's what he had to say.
Trying to figure out, okay, what piece goes in which order. So we'll figure it out. I'm all ears for thoughts you have.
I think it's going to be a building process, and you'll see some actions by some of the committees, there's certain parts of it, but ultimately it's going to be put together similar to how the rescue plan was put together. It's got to be at the end of the day, because there's most likely to have these reconciliations. Yeah, the Republicans will be with you. And then,
here, let's clear
that.
You got it. Thanks again, everybody.
Okay.
I want to go to Kelly first. As you can imagine, a lot of Republicans are hearing this today saying, wow, they're going to pass another spending bill without any Republican support. My understanding is you can only pass a spending bill by reconciliation once per year. Is that what we should take away from what we heard Senator Cardin saying?
Well, I can't speak for the senator, and I wasn't there, but I think first and foremost that American people are struggling personally, professionally, financially, and I give my hats off for them passing the COVID relief bill that people can put food on their table and hopefully get back to work. But I think it's important as a Democrat to work with the Republicans, and I'm hopeful and optimistic that we can be bipartisan legislation moving forward to help the American people and build back better.
You know what I get out of this, Vernon, and you were a Democrat for years, sir. Bipartisanship is out. Unity is out. And speaking of that $1.9 trillion, 9% went to help out American families in the middle class. Sir, what do you say about this?
Well, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And when you see the bickering among the parties, there's no partisan support, bipartisan support, you tend to see the people being affected by that, meaning everyday American citizens. When you looked at that budget, let's be honest, only about 9% went towards COVID relief. When you including, you have money going to a foreign country to study and do research on transgender. How's that helping the American people? How's that helping infrastructure, small businesses? Those are things we need to be concentrating on. And what happened to all the earmarks now is becoming a pork budget. We still have to have some fiscal responsibility. We still have to provide some coverage for the American people, again, helping small businesses. That stimulus check is helping many, but how much more of a stimulus check they could have gotten if it wasn't overpacked with pet projects? People could have gotten $3,000 back. That would have been an even bigger boost to help them get back on their feet. So having bipartisan support is really good. And anytime one party is talking about running something down the throat of another party, that's not good for the American people.
Jason, I just heard Congressman Peter Meyer speaking this morning about exactly what Vernon Jones was just saying. Hey, we had a bill worked out where the American people would get about $3,400 checks, and we wouldn't be spending all this money on things that right now are in this bill that the American people want to see going to them instead of things that have nothing to do with COVID. There were also many months where Democrats could have worked with Republicans to get the American people money faster. What's your response to this $1,400 and all of the pork that was in this bill?
Yeah, look, this is not any kind of rescue plan for the American people and the middle class. This is really a destruction plan. It's lining the pockets of Democrats and progressives. It's full of pork. And unfortunately, there was no bipartisan support because the Republicans can see this bill for what it is. It's lining the pockets of Democrats. It's not lining the pockets of Americans. And I think the American people are going to see that very soon when they start to realize that this bill was really just a destruction of their economic future.
Kelly, some people say it was a bait and switch, that they were promised $2,000 within the first couple of days. The first day, I think the president said when he's on the campaign trail, promising the people in Georgia as well, if you vote for these two Democrat senator candidates, then you'll get $2,000. It turned out to be $1,400. 16 million Americans that were expecting to get those checks were paired off it as well. And, you know, if you do some simple math, $1.9 trillion, every American taxpayer, if you really want to help people out, could have gotten $42,000. But instead, we're spending money over the next 10 years. And now the president's going to go on the road to kind of sell all of this. Don't you think they should try to sell it with some bipartisanship to begin with?
Well, I always believe in bipartisanship. As a Democrat, I believe that it's really important. And I would love the idea that the Republicans work, because ultimately it's for the American people and helping the American people. But I would disagree on what you said. A majority of Americans do support the COVID relief bill, and they're going to have money. It's also going to help small businesses. We need to help people. My thoughts and prayers go out to anyone that's been affected by COVID or had anyone lost a loved one because of it. And people are having difficult times, struggling to put food on their table, worrying about their kids. And so I would love the opportunity for us as a Democrat to work with the Republicans. And rather than, you know, there should be bipartisan bills to help the American people. But I haven't seen that.
Vernon, I want to ask you, if Kelly is right and the majority of Americans support this bill, then why is the president going on what's called the Help is on the Way tour, where he's stopping at small businesses and telling them that this was a good idea? This is a man who essentially campaigned from his basement. This is the first time we're seeing him out traveling around the country, where he's still telling and travel. Now he's going to go out and tell people, hey, this bill was good. And every mainstream media outlet that I hear from says this is to sell them on a bill that already passed. Why do this now?
Well, first of all, one thing I agree with your previous speaker. The American people have been suffering, and many have lost their jobs. The kids are not all back in school yet. When you say, hey, this is a COVID bill to help people, everybody likes that. But if you do a line item by line item and let the American people see exactly where that money went and who that money went to and why did that money go there and what for, they will start to sing a different tune. Joe Biden has the right yo-yo, but the wrong string. Because first of all, they promised $2,000 to people, then it ended up with $1,400. You cannot tell me there was not enough pork in that bill, even just going to foreign countries, that American people who are getting those stimulus checks could have gotten a $3,000 stimulus check. But you know what? It sounds good. Oh, yeah, it sounds good. Oh, here's a stimulus check. But what did they actually get out of it? When you had 91% of that bill that had nothing to do with COVID, 91% of $1.2 trillion. What if they had spent just 20% on COVID and 20% on small businesses? That's why it's ironic that here are these governments, these local governments, who shut down businesses, who cost people their jobs and their businesses and their livelihood. And this is to bail out their friends who are Democrats who ran those businesses down. How in the world you expect for a government to survive if people aren't working, they're not paying property taxes, they're not paying sales taxes? And so it's like, shut you down over here. And if you play politics to help keep President Trump from getting elected, to get the economy to tank, and then here's your reward. You helped us beat the president on us taking the economy down, and here's some money to reward you to refill your coffers. Oh, that's just not right. And the American people can see through that. That's why he's going on the road. And, you know, finally, Joe Biden's been in the basement. That's why they call him Groundhog Joe. He doesn't even live at the White House. He's going to Delaware every night. That shows you that they are trying to handle him so carefully that they are afraid he will be wandering around the White House and people will pick up on where his real status is or mental state is. And even on a show on the road is carefully crafted, where it's going to be a teleprompter, no question to answer from the media, no live interaction. And so it really is a show, but we can see what's going on, and people can see through this.
Jason, I'll give you the last word here today, because we heard Kelly say that they're working for the American small businesses, but I have questions about that, because the PPP money that was set aside this time, not as big as it was before. And then there's a conversation now to raise corporate taxes from 21 to 28%, and more importantly, gutting the S-Corp provision, meaning small business owners that make $400,000 or more, which is a sweet spot for small businesses, are going to get penalized badly in this new tax proposal being put forward. Do the Democrats have a dislike for small business in America? I'll give you the last word from the panel.
Yeah, it sure seems that way. I mean, look, instead of focusing on a COVID relief bill, writing a $1,400 check, how about we focus on undoing the lockdowns that we have realized have devastated our economy? Instead of raising taxes at a time when we should be cutting taxes and raising the minimum wage, because again, in America, the minimum wage is $0 because that's what you make when you don't have a job. And raising the minimum wage will destroy and annihilate jobs in this country. So I think that, you know, there was a guy in the White House before that said the cure can't be worse than the underlying virus, if I recall. And right now, it seems to me that the cure is way more devastating than the underlying virus. And so I think that we should be focusing on Florida, taking Florida as precedent, taking what Governor Abbott's doing in Texas, and undoing these draconian lockdowns that have just annihilated restaurants, middle class America, small businesses, laundromats, destroyed them. I think that that's where the focus should be, not on writing a $1,400 check when you promised the American people $2,000. How about getting their jobs back? How about opening their businesses?
Thank you so much, Kelly Hyman, Jason Meister, and Vernon Jones. Appreciate having you on the program. Heated debate, but it was very good. So thank you so much, and stay tuned because we have your answers to our question about whether or not you took the COVID vaccine or if you're going to, if you haven't yet. And that was a bit of a heated debate too. So we'll be right back.